You're listening to Mr. Save-A-Home, Becoming an Agenteur.
Hey, good day, good people. My name is Navid Moosa. I'm your host today and always for Mr. Save-A-Home, Becoming an Agenteur. Thank you. For those who are first-time listeners, I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to earn your trust and to earn your loyalty for staying with us and subscribing to us. For those who are coming back, thank you. I appreciate it. And as always, we get into it right away. We don't like to waste time. Your time is precious, so is mine. So let's get into it. We do not discuss politics or religion here. It's basic as that. However, we may touch on them. We may dabble in it a little bit, but we do not make it a basis of a forum of our discussion. Having said all that, I do want to address something that's come up. It's not really a serious topic when I say I'm going to address something. It's just something that has come up in general within our family and just within my friends that I deal with and some people who I know who are very religious. And and basically we're going to call it the path provided by God, if you will. This phrase basically is saying is that, look, everything happens for a reason, right? God puts things in our way and he says, all right, this is what's going to happen. And I agree with that. I subscribe to that. I believe in that. However, there are people, in my opinion, regardless of the religion, who take it to a next extreme, who kind of just let everything go by the wayside and say, well, it's up to God. And yes, it is. But here's the difference. Here's why I sort of differ or disagree. I want to phrase it. God gave you the brain. However, you formed the mind. I'm going to say it again. God gave you the brain, but you formed the mind. They are two different things. The mind is not the brain and vice versa. The mind is part of you, part of your soul, part of your ethics, your morality, or your unethical side, or your immorality. At the end of the day, it's still your mind. The saying goes, what? Make up your mind, not make up your brain. Right? Because you can change your mind on things. You can't change the brain. Your brain is what you have. You can't swap it out, at least not on your own, but you get my point, right? You can change your mind on certain things. You can change your stances, but the brain you have is what you've been given. Okay, so that's what God gave us. He gave us that brain, but he also gave us the power to make up our own mind on certain things. Now, what we choose to do with that, what path we choose to go with that is our own. For that, we have to live with those decisions. And I know if you're a first time listener, you're like, man, what the hell? I didn't subscribe to the Sunday Preacher channel. I subscribed to learning about being an agenteur, my mindset, about being an entrepreneur, real estate investor, real estate agent. You're right. You did. So you're at the right channel. So please you're at the right cast, I should say. So don't click or don't swipe left or swipe right or whatever. Just stay here and ride with me for a minute. What I am saying is that the reason why I'm saying this or this topic is that recently there was a flip project that I was doing with a family member and we had a lot of downfalls in it. There was a lot of issues that come up and there were issues beyond the control. However, during this process or during this project, this was a hold, which was basically a property that we were going to be keeping as a rental, right? So that's what a hold is. It's not a flip, it's a hold. We're going to keep this project as a hold to keep it as a long-term, add it to the portfolio and rent it out. In this case, it's their first property they were buying as their first rental. And as things were coming up, God bless them for their just being so relaxed. Things came up. They're like, oh, well, it's God's will to do this, God's will to do this. And it was like, no, it's not. This individual, this person you've hired to do the work on this project is taking advantage because you're being very nice. You've heard the saying, don't take my kindness for weakness. Well, that's exactly what this person was doing. And no matter what I said to bring it to their attention, they didn't want to hear it. They were like, no, it's okay. He said he couldn't come today because his van broke down. He said he couldn't come yesterday because, his aunt got sick or whatever. And it's one excuse after the other. Now, this man is using his own cash to fund this. So there is no loan per se. However, I did teach him how to pay himself the money he's borrowing for himself. Because he borrowed from somebody else, he had to pay them a fee for it. So pay yourself that fee. He didn't want to do it. That's fine. That's on him. And then it was a friend of his who he hired as a contractor, which is probably the worst things you can do, but whatever. And then he turned around, and no matter what excuse this individual gave him, and there were excuses, okay? There's reasons and there's excuses, and these were excuses. Ones that I've heard tons of times from other contractors. And so no matter what, he kept saying, well, it's God's will, it's God's will, it's God's will. At some point, I snapped. I got pissed. Because I'm like, no, it's not God's will to screw you over. It's not God's will to put you in a financial bind. That's not God's will. This individual is taking advantage of your kindness, of your patience, of your good heart. This person is taking advantage of all that. And you're going to find that, unfortunately, in almost any business, when you become the head person in charge, people are going to test you. And people are automatically going to assume, oh, well, this person here, they're the boss. They're the person in charge. They're a real estate investor. They're the realtor. They have tons of money because they can choose to do this. They don't know you could have 2 jobs and this is your third hustle. They have no idea. And they take advantage of that. They're going to test you and push you. You have to make a decision. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who gets pushed around and your projects get laid behind? Because that's what's going to happen. That's not God's will to put you in a bad position. You're using, in my opinion, you're using that as an excuse to make the tough decision. You're hiding behind that. A tough decision has to be made. You need to cut this person off. Now, this person is your friend. No one forced you or made you to hire this individual. You made the decision on your own. No one else made you do it. You did it. Now, you got to swallow your pride, admit you made the wrong decision, and let this person go. But you don't want to do that. But you hide behind saying, well, it's God's will. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I strongly believe it's not God's will for God to push you or put you into a bad situation. His will is to open up options for you. Your mind is to say, okay, I'm going to take this option or this option. So you got to make those tough decisions. There's no way around it. It's okay to say I screwed up. It's okay to say I'm wrong. There's a saying I saw this morning. I actually put it on my Facebook storyline, and it was, better to make mistakes than to fake perfection. In my opinion, this person was doing in the situation was they thought they made all the right decisions. Nah, they screwed up. Now they have to live up to that screw up and make it right. And it's a hard decision because they need to get rid of someone who is, quote unquote, their friend. The best decision isn't always going to be the easiest decision. The right decision isn't always going to be right in front of your face. It's something you may have to struggle to work through to get there. And you may not like the answer, but if it's the truthful answer, then that's the way to go. This business isn't for everybody, but it's for anybody. It's how bad do you want to do it? And what are you willing to do to get there? I can't answer that for you. Only you can. That's what I got for you this week. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, never chase the money, always chase the deal. Do right by the client and everything else will fall into place. Take care of yourself.